All right, so not much has happened since Friday, and something that I noticed today, right, when I'm trying to look for a bias, is so I prefer to play based on order flow. That's pretty much what I aim for majority of the time. And as you can see, we have a daily wick here that pretty much caused the final pretty much push to the downside that took liquidity and then gave a reaction to the upside. So the issue now is that if I wanted to play any type of bearish order flow, one, the POI was taken, two, we have high momentum, right? And three, we could have a potential unwillingness here based on, I'm sorry, not there. Low, high, retracement, not retracement, but high, low, retracement, continuation. But this is now considered unwillingness because we took a lot of preliminary levels of structure. So it's now a bit weird to want to take any type of bearish position in terms of DXY, just because it's the momentum, two, the potential unwillingness, and three, we've broken through the POI, right? But if we're looking for a bullish bias, it's also, trying to, if we're looking for, for a bullish bias, right, you have to also keep in mind that we are in a premium still. Even though that is a premium, I still see an internal range based on character 1 and any change of character here, right? And even still, equilibrium is around here, and that is essentially where we are now. We're still in a premium. So it's a lot harder to want to take any type of bullish position just yet from the perspective of a major intraday and a swing perspective. But I do still see this continuing. I don't see this breaking this down. If this breaks down, then I could potentially switch my bias, right? Like, let's say this just starts to give us bearish movement and we do break this, then this is where the final character change occurred. I would more so start to look into a potential continuation, because it's a lot harder to want to play this. So it really just depends. I would probably not play that, but I would like to see any type of reaction, right? Like, you can see that there's inefficient pricing here. I'm pretty sure there's more stuff around. Yeah, you can see there's the clear inefficiency here. The H1 inefficiency matches the 50% here. That's a very probable spot. But I would like to see this continue, just because that makes a lot more sense to me. And especially now, because we pretty much have confirmed a type of accumulation. Even though we talked about why it couldn't have been here. Ooh, what the hell? There is still the narrative of this accumulation in play. So all I'm doing is trying to pretty much continue that. Simple terms. Let's go to EU first. EU. So this one's a bit weird. Let's see. Which one? This one. Right, something that I noted today from a intraday perspective. One, we've already achieved one of my targets, and I'll come back to why that was a target. But the second target, not second target, but the reaction after we took liquidity, even though we have equal lows in place, we cannot assume that they're going to pretty much occur just yet. But anyways, yesterday during overlap, we pretty much had the continuation. Today during overlap, there was a bullish movement, but I didn't want to take any type of bullish movement, just for the simple fact that we had broken through the preliminary leg of structure here, and I wasn't inclined to want to sell unless we actually came into a premium, right? But it's not just about what the POI is, it's about how price comes into the POI. And after we took the liquidity, we actually missed the POI, right? And then gave a reaction. So because that gave a reaction, this is now, right, preliminary level of structure is now a solidified high based on high, low retracement. So then we had unwillingness, break of structure. So even though there is a POI, this is now considered picking a high, so it's not something, you know, I want to trade. So I left that alone, and as you can see, it's been choppy ever since. Right, this one too, it really looks like we might come into a wick POI and continue higher. Probably will happen tomorrow in London, but for the most part, I'm assuming bullishness because of the release of liquidity. So do you guys remember what I said about solidified highs? I said it in the group chat. Does anybody remember? About what I said. Could somebody at me at it? Could somebody at me at the message? Just because you guys know my computer doesn't allow me to search messages for whatever reason. Yeah, but can you take me to the messages where I said that? It's not about what a solidified structure point is. I'm saying how you can take it to the next level. That's what I talked about a couple days ago. Because I don't remember. I don't think I can find it. Oh, found it. Never mind. Never mind. So let me show you guys the screen actually. So do you remember this? You can take the concept much further if you choose. Think of a solidified high or low. What is happening to create it, right? And it's volume, liquidity. So a solidified high or low is a great target. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. So back to this. Yes, pretty much this. So look at the targets that I had for my sell position from last week. Let's go to H4. So can you guys see why these are my targets? Do you guys see why these are my targets? Why? No, but why are they targets? I literally just talked about this 10 seconds ago. Let me see. No, look. Why are y'all making this so complicated? I literally just gave you the answer. 1, 2. This is the last time we actually broke structure here. So after that, you see low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. This is the last time we broke structure, and then we created high, low, and all the way high up here. So technically, this is a good target as well, technically, but it didn't really take structure because all I did was low, high, retracement, continuation, retracement, unwillingness. Yeah, exactly. So they're solidified lows, and that's why they're great targets. And why do I target these is because these big liquidity points, right, will often give you a reaction in the opposite direction after they are met, right? Key example here, key example here, right? So that's why they're great targets for me. And I am allowed, not that I'm allowed, but I choose to take a bigger portion of my position just because it makes more sense to take it off of a solidified point because of what a solidified point is, which means that it took liquidity in order to continue higher or lower. So all that means is that there's volume in play. So once that volume is released, then you can expect a reaction in the opposite direction. So it's just, you know, it's kind of like a, how would I say, make it make sense type of thing, right? Is what is happening. How is it happening? By breaking structure. Now, why is it happening? Because eventually this target is met. Yep, pretty much because it manipulates preliminary structure, meaning that you need volume for that to occur. That's pretty much what that's showing me. That's pretty much what I'm concluding by this. So, as you can see, that's why my two targets were basically perfect, as you can see here. But, right, why am I talking about that, right? Even though that's already been met, is because the reaction after we took profit, right? Even though this is our structural range, right? We haven't even had a liquidity grab. As you can see, we have relative equal lows in place, right? But this does not set a bias. Excuse me. And this low creates a new high, takes out preliminary structure, retracement, continuation, but this is picking a low. But this is the final potential POI that I could see based on this time frame, even if it's just a 50%, and that was taken out, right? So that's what pretty much inclined a bullish bias. So during London, this is a great position. That's a great position. That's 100% fine. You take preliminary level of structure, solidified low, and that gives you reaction enough to be a break even, right? Even if it is 10, 11 pips, right? But because that creates a bearish structural range, that's where I was talking about where my bias was here, right? Because we had internal disruption, a bearish structural leg. But once you start zooming in and you see this that we just talked about, it pretty much cancels the bias out. So you see how your bias pretty much changes very frequently from an intraday perspective, as long as you understand structure, POIs, order flow. Would that be considered weak bearish order flow at the high? Where? Are you talking about like this, all this here? I would consider this weak, but I would consider this strong, because these are structured. Even though they are scalp moves, they are structured, right? But you have to also understand is, even though this is strong order flow, bearish order flow is needed to complete a pullback. No, you can. Why can't you? I literally just said I was following. Like I'm showing you right now, bro. I'm telling you this because this is the continuation of order flow. That's why this blue box is present. But I couldn't take the position because we reacted early. That's what I'm saying. So because this occurred earlier, this POI no longer makes sense. Okay, so I'm moving to AU. Right, another one. Let's actually go to our H4. Right, so we already met a pretty decent target, I believe. Actually, we didn't meet this target. All right, so this one is probably still going to be met down the road. But we actually did take a very significant continuation here. And once you start zooming in, all right, same thing as EU. The last potential POI that I can see on this bearish structural leg, or structural range, I'm sorry. Bearish structural range, this is the last potential POI that makes sense to me. That was taken out, right? So you focus now on the internal structure in play. So even though this can continue lower, because it did take out a preliminary level of structure here, there is no strong order flow carrying it, in my opinion. Even here you can see, right, took liquidity and then came down, but there was no mitigation. So I don't see strong order flow in play. Now the only thing about me wanting to buy here is, am I trying to catch a reversal or am I trying to catch a continuation? Because technically this is still a reversal, even because we haven't fully taken out structure. So there was an opportunity today. There was a very good opportunity today, because right, we have the low and our high in terms of our preliminary structure, and we now have a confirmed higher low, I'm sorry, which is considered unwillingness as well, right? But we mainly take this out. Because we take structure out, sorry, wrong time frame. Right, because we take structure out, although there's strong momentum, there is a reaction based on the inefficiency and then the mitigation of the inefficiency. So here's something that's interesting to note. is we have the inefficiency in place. Right, this is in play, but this is strong momentum. This is not something I could have played, right? But unfortunately, I wasn't looking at this at 9 p.m. But this is actually a very good position here. Why? Because you have a confirmed higher low, because you took structure, you have a reaction from the inefficiency fill, and you have momentum. All this is doing is coming back into the final potential POI, which causes a continuation in play. And I'm pretty sure there's even a smaller time frame entry. No, there wasn't. So even though, right, there is still a potential SC here, right, you can see the M5 POI is still playing out. So now the issue here with trying to take this position would have been a bigger stop, 4.5, 3 if you're being aggressive, if you're putting it below this low of this SC candle. So interesting play, but makes sense. But I think from an overall perspective, we still aren't changing. Even if we don't react from an H4 here, I could still see us coming back up here, maybe even here, but the bias is still bearish. You have no reason to think otherwise, unless we see some strong momentum, strong volatility. But yeah, still bias is the same. Right, GU, this is the interesting one. If you remember, we highlighted the POI here, which wasn't tapped, but right, this is something I noticed this morning, and that this is a very nice potential schematic, right? Because preliminary supply, selling climax, strong volume, even though it's not the peak, there's still strong volume in the selling climax. So once you see the continuations lower, you see the diminishment in play, right? But fortunately, right, you see the spring and test, right? And this is how I like to see a spring and test, because oops, wrong one. Right here. Right, spring, test, test. Same thing here, spring, test, test. Right, I'm pretty sure, I know Luis is in this. Maybe this is a pre-London move. Very nice, that's very nice. Right, now my issue here, right, is how far we're going to go. Because this also is still very bearish now. It's for the sole fact that our final push to the upside was taken out, the next level was taken out, so we're fully bearish now. It's just a matter of where we're going to reverse for the continuation, and we can't really assume otherwise unless we're given the data to do so. So just until then, continuation over reversal, and we'll pretty much see what goes on from there. But anyways, pretty quick lecture today. Not much has happened. I'm pretty sure we'll get some moves by Friday, and we'll pretty much go from there. But do you guys have any questions? Quick beginner. What's your question? I don't know what you're saying. What little ranges?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Can I annotate on your chart? What I mean is like when you have those type of movement up and after there, how do you start to draw your structure? Because when you have this, it's like it's not ranges, but it's like really different from when you have impulse.
Well, for example,
And being like market structure and solidified high and low yesterday. And when I was trying to bet on the chart, I was a bit confused with this because yesterday we don't have this part there. And my difficulties is like from there, what low do you take in consideration to say okay it's a solidified high or a solidified low? Sorry, I don't know if I'm clear.
Let's start here then. Let's start here. Okay, so you're saying we have a big we have a big move, right? So we have a low and a high, right? Then we have the correction, right? And now that we take preliminary structure, this is my solidified low, low, high retracement, continuation. This is my range, discount, continuation. So because we have the solidified low, this does not make sense anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
So it's always the internal range, the immediate range. But let's actually go into, like for example now, right, the first thing I notice right here, right, is you can say this is your full leg, right? You broke preliminary structure, solidified low, based on the high, low, this is the retracement, right? But you can see here, POI potentially. So this is a bit confusing because remember, we actually got the reaction, right? Three things can happen in a POI. One, you hit the open, you hit the 50%, or you have a liquidity grab. In this one, you had a liquidity grab and the mitigation in play, meaning that you have meaning you have bearish order flow in play. But here's the thing now. The order flow did not sustain price, right? And you now have a low high retracement continuation. So in my opinion, this is now the range that you are in, because this high and low already tried to give you a bearish move but couldn't. So I like to read order flow, this order flow, as the intent to want to go lower, but that did not sustain itself. We came into whatever 50% of this candle is, right? And then this caused a bullish reaction, meaning bullish order flows in play. So I can only assume, right, that we come back to come higher, right? And because we have taken out the final preliminary leg, this is now my structural range intact, right? So this breaks previous structure. This now takes previous structure, solidified low. This is still not a solidified high because we have not taken any preliminary structure, because we have low, high, low, high, low, high, low, and then, you know, low, potentially higher now. But for the meantime, even though this is fully bearish, right, we have strong momentum and we have a strong internal range here. So I can only assume that this could probably continue higher now, right? Because it's all bullish order flow currently, starting from here. Bullish order flow, preliminary structure break, solidified low, right? So this is now solidified low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. I mean unwillingness, sorry. Break of structure, solidified low. This is now the solidified low of this high and this high. So this now takes preliminary structure, right? So this is solidified low, and then once this breaks preliminary structure, solidified high, and then once you get a retracement, that should be the continuation. So I consider all ranges. I don't consider just one or two. I consider all of them, right? And the only reason why I'm also in support of this POI is because this is still bullish. You see what I mean?
Yes. So in 4 hour, this so this part there, you don't take really in consideration. You wait from this high.
No, I do. But we broke this.
Okay.
We broke the internal leg. So that's my issue. That's why I don't want to be looking at this, because we broke the preliminary range. And keep in mind, right, that now that we broke the preliminary range, that just shows that our internal structure is bullish. You see what I mean?
Yes, I got it.
So if we would have, the only way I would have continued, right, this is, I could go to H2 just so I can show you. So you see character, then the change of character here, right? You see one full impulse, then you see corrective, corrective, corrective. So I would have wanted to see a reaction from here to come lower, right? But that gave the reaction and it didn't give it, and then it gave up. So that just shows to me bullish intent, internal structural range, continuation. That's what that is showing to me, because we took the final preliminary leg.
Okay, understood.
So yeah, I mean, this could by all means reverse here, but structure would need to transition in order to take my position. You see? So if structure doesn't transition, then I'm just picking a high. So you always want to continue your, even though you have a higher time frame bias, if the smaller time frame doesn't really support it, it's harder for you to justify the position without it being considered a picking a high or low. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Anybody? Good for you. So here's my thing. So I've pretty much looked through my notes, my to-do list, and I've pretty much done every single video that I've pretty much planned on doing. So continuing content would pretty much be just case studies, unless you guys have like specific videos that you guys want me to make. Like I could make an add-on to maybe disruption and add on to something, right, just to add to course material. But for now, I mean, I've pretty much made every single video I had planned. The only ones I had planned now was just the solidified high and low video. I do have an idea for a phase 6 video. I think it's psychology. I have a psychology idea, but yeah, now I think all I can do is reinforce the ideas in place, especially with like disruptions, because people confuse disruption as the internal structure rate, though. Excuse me. Let me see if I can find an example really quick. I need to delete all this. Hold on. There we go. Because people will confuse this as this move here as disruption, and that's not disruption. Disruption is the taking or pretty much taking out a POI that has already been taken, that's already been mitigated. That's what that means. It's a lot harder with inefficiencies, just because of the fulfillment still being a potential POI, potential reference point. But I do it more with wicks and candles. I don't really do it much with inefficiencies. But all I'll really do with disruptions is just show you more examples. That's all I'd pretty much do. The idea is already in place. But yeah, I don't know why it's such a confusing topic. I don't know why. It's just a simple POI that's been mitigated and is now taken out. That's all it is, right? I could make a video on if it's internal, external, but there is no difference. The only difference with internal, external is where it is happening. So that's kind of a given. That's not really something I see, worth making a video on. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start doing that. I think, and also that the what you referenced me with, I think it's only like $15 or something like that to get the premium. So I'll probably just pay that, to be honest. I think it's like $15. I don't know if it's a month or $15 for the service. No, yeah, I mean, I don't mind paying it, but yeah, if you could find a good one that's pretty much just like that one. I really like that one because it honestly I forgot the name, because it really just shows where is your server. Like, I could show you guys on screen right now. Actually, wait, I should not do that. Hold on. I don't want you to see my messages. 1 second. Starting a note. Yeah, cool, perfect. So now I can do this. 1 second. See, like, I could even do it on Zoom now. Like, you see, I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I could even use this on Zoom now, so it's a pretty cool app. Pretty cool app. And now, so because I could use Zoom on it. Like, Zoom wasn't the issue. I could use my iPad on Zoom whenever I want. I just got to change the device that it's pretty much showing on screen. But now this helps me actually do it with videos. So even though I have really bad handwriting, I think it's a cool feature. But yeah, I don't know why I never thought of that before. I don't know. Anyways, do you guys have any final questions? Okay, let's actually pull that up since I'm already here. Since we're already here, this is neither of the ones that you're referencing. So for one, what is disruption? And two, what are equal highs? I already gave you the answer to one of them. So what is disruption? Pretty much already gave you that one, but
I got a quick question about that actually as well. Let me see if I can annotate real quick.
Go for it.
So if you consider this a mitigation, then wouldn't the whole thing here be considered disruption because of this?
No, because this is not a mitigation. That's a liquidity grab. And also, right, you see one candle, two candles, right? So order flow, liquidity grab. I'm sorry. Order flow, continuation. So this, let me actually do a box. So the 50% is right there, right? The 50%, oh no way, I deleted it. Hold on, I'll do it right there. So this caused unwillingness reaction, even though this never broke structure. This gave a reaction to the downside. So once we take this out and take this out, this is disruption. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, so even though it's disruption, right, it is still considered bearish. Go here, because this unwillingness takes structure. So order flow, order flow, order flow, but there's 50% here. Right, this 50% is not even a POI I would want to take. It doesn't make sense to me because we already broke through the final preliminary leg and we broke through the POI that generated that. So it doesn't really make much sense to me to want to take this. Right, because you also got to keep in mind, if you're taking this and if it does work, you're leaving liquidity. So who's to say this liquidity isn't taken down the road, right? It's not supposed to influence your bias, but it does make me weary of, am I trading the right direction? Does that make sense? Cool. Also, let's see this. I believe that was here. Was it? Was that here today? No, it wasn't, right? Where was that? Oh, okay. That was, let's see, yep. Trying to reference this. So this is the high low on M1. That was here, right? Yep, yes it was. So now my issue with wanting to even continue here, right, is remember what we talked about at the beginning of the Zoom, which was the 15-minute POI, but also the fact that we do have an internal disruption here where we caused a reaction, solidified low, unwillingness based on this high structural range. So I am bearish technically, but remember that I would have wanted to take my position here, but we reacted earlier, right? So my advice here is to get off M1. Literally every chart I see is M1, and that kind of bothers me because we aren't M1 traders. We enter off M1, but we're not M1 traders. All right, so get off of M1. Focus on intraday, at least direction. And go from there. Only use M1 when necessary. Don't use M1 as your full basis. Like we could even go to the, let me see if I could actually go to the chat, I believe. M1, M1, M5, okay. That one was because I asked. M1. M5. M5. M1. Okay, that one's different. No, these are just executions. That was my chart, H1. M5. Okay, H2, but M5. M1. You see what I mean? You guys see what I'm saying, right? Every chart I'm seeing is M1, M5, M3, M1, M1, M1. Like, why? Like, we aren't M1 traders. I thought that was a given. Like, I wish I could block M1 on y'all's on y'all's trading view, but can't. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. You guys know what I have to say about that. It doesn't make sense. You can't base everything off M1. If you base everything off M1, be prepared to take a lot of losses. That's just my POV. Only use M1 when it's necessary. Alright, just look at the breakdowns I do on Zoom. Right, I'm pretty sure this is one we were referencing, M15. And then we zoomed in for POIs. Here, we were H1, H4. Right, so get off M1. Like, just get off M1. There's only use it when you need to enter a trade. But other than that, why are you, there's no point. There's no point. Yes, if it gets you off of M5, M1. Like, I'd like for you guys to write that down. Just get off M1, get off M5. And watch, over time you become more conservative. Over time you don't take as many trades. Over time you focus on overall bias. That's pretty much just the point. That's the point I'm trying to get across, pretty much. But yeah, anyways, I think we can end it off here, if that's cool with you guys. Cool.